Welcome to
Wassup NYCU. This is Tin.
This is Catherine.
In this podcast, we share some interesting facts about our campus in English. In our campus, many students have to face their internship, which is truly an exciting and challenging lesson for them as they transfer from classrooms to clinical settings.
In this episode, we're going to talk about the experiences of internship. Besides Tin, we also invited Wesley from 医学系日常 to be our guest.
That's right. Well, I will be sharing a little bit of my experience. We also invited a medical student who is going through his internship to be our guest. Let's welcome Wesley.
Hi, I'm Wesley.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Wesley, and I'm a 5th grade student majoring in medicine at Yangming Jiao Tong University. I'm currently having my internship at Taipei Rongzhou. And if you are a fan of 医学系日常, then you might have seen me before. I showed up in some of videos. Yeah, and thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you for coming. Can you describe a typical day in the life of a hospital intern?
Yeah. I usually arrive at hospital at 7:30 in the morning and have the morning meeting with my doctors. And after the meeting, I'll follow my visiting doctor to go around the world to check patients' conditions. And usually there isn't anything to do after going around the world. And occasionally there are some lectures we can attend. If you are in a surgical department, you may need to go to operating room to learn something or just be an assistant. I remember that the first week in the hospital, I didn't leave until 5:30 p.m. And that is because I'm fear of missing out. I personally called it internship panic syndrome. Now I leave hospital directly as long as I find there is nothing I have to do.
I have to admit that when I was a newbie, I always leave hospital late, just trying to copy down more information. Sounds like interns are all the same.
I'm a little curious. Are there any cool or unforgettable experiences that you've had while interning at the hospital?
Yeah. One of my most unforgettable experience was my first time performing a paracentesis. And in Chinese, it is called 抽腹水 for patient that have portal vein hypertension. 把它腹腔的水抽出来的意思这样. Yeah. I used sonograph to locate the best spot to insert the needle. And I found a suitable location and inserted the needle, but nothing came out. I removed the needle and tried again, but I failed. So I was so nervous at that time, and my hands were shaking and my voice was trembling. I was so afraid to look at patient's face. Then the patient spoke up, said, "It is okay. It is her body made this procedure so difficult." Even though I was unable to complete this procedure at the end, her words stayed with me and gave me the courage to face the future challenges.
Yeah, I can totally understand your feeling because I've been through a similar one when I was performing my first intravenous catheter insertion. 就是一般说的 on IV. Yeah, you put a needle inside the patient's veins. And in the hospital, I was like so nervous. My hands were trembling. And when I told the patient to relax, I was actually more like telling myself to relax. And when I inserted the needle, there was no flashback of blood. There should be, but there was not, which means I didn't put it into the vein. And I was so nervous, I was so guilty, and I didn't know what to say. But the patient just smiled at me and said, "It's all right, just try, you need to practice." He was so nice, and I really gained courage from him too.
Wow, after hearing these stories, being an intern doesn't seem quite as bad as or scary anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say it's scary, but I have to say, you face challenges, much or less, during the time. What do you think, Wesley? Are there any challenges that you have faced as an intern in the hospital?
Yeah, there are lots of challenges. Yeah, the first challenge I faced during my internship was regaining clinical knowledge, which I had lost nearly 90% of them after the first national exam. And another challenge was the transition to dealing with problems of real patients in the hospital, which is totally different from the BCS, Basic Clinical Skill, or PBL, Problem-Based Learning lectures at the medical school.
I totally get what you mean when you said that after the first national exam, you forgot 90% of what you've learned in the past few years. Because in medical school and dentistry, we have to pass 2 national exams to become a doctor or a dentist. It's pretty normal for us to forget more than half of what we learned after the first one.
Yeah, that's true.
So during your internship, like you said, you need to regain some knowledge and also learn a lot of new clinical stuff. How do you balance the demands of being a hospital intern with your personal life?
Yeah, I realized that I cannot meet everyone's expectation, including those of my visiting doctors. There will always be someone who is not satisfied with you. Therefore, I have decided to lower my standard within an acceptable range, not to put too much pressure on myself and to give myself more freedom to do what I want to do and just enjoy the life.
Yeah, I used to try so hard, like trying to be perfect in front of my teacher, my classmates, or even myself, like trying to give the best presentations. But in the end, it got a little bit unbearable. That's when I tried to find a new way to balance my life.
Is that kind of a motto for you? I'll bear it in mind when I start my internship.
Okay, I hope you can get along well then. Now let's move on to our last question. In what way does internship affect you or prepares you to be a doctor? Or what does such experience mean to you?
Yeah, it definitely has huge impact on me. Through my internship in the hospital, I truly understand the lifestyle and work environment of doctors in different departments, which allows me to make a better career choice for me in the future. And additionally, through this internship, I also realized the sacredness of the medical profession. It is important to understand that it is a hard decision for the patient to give you themselves. So we have a responsibility to provide them with the best medical care.
I believe that you're gonna become a good doctor.
And that's all for today's podcast. Thanks, Wesley, for coming.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say to our audience?
If you like this podcast, you can click the like or subscribe button here. Or if you want to know more about the life of medical student, you can subscribe 医学系日常 on YouTube, and you may find it is much more different than you thought.
Yeah, and don't forget to share your thoughts with us by writing an email to bmse.emi@gmail.com. Again, it's bmse.emi@gmail.com.
And if there's any topic you're interested in, please let us know and perhaps we'll be talking about that in the future. And that's all for today's Wassup NYCU, and we will be see you next time. Bye.